This is the Silverback SB54 adjustable in-ground basketball hoop. I just wanted to share my experience with this in case anyone else is considering it. I put this in at home because I wanted a hoop that feels stable and consistent, the kind you can actually practice on without the whole thing wobbling around. If you are the type of person who shoots a lot in the driveway, or you have kids who are getting serious about basketball, this is more for that kind of use. If what you want is something you can roll out, roll back in, and tuck into a corner, this is not that. The first thing I noticed was how it looks and feels in person. It has that clean, simple look with a dark pole and a glass backboard. It does not look like a toy. The backboard being real tempered glass matters more than I expected. With a lot of home hoops, the backboard is acrylic or plastic, and the ball comes off it in a way that always feels a little dead or inconsistent. With this one, bank shots feel normal. The rebound off the glass makes sense, and it is easier to predict where the ball is going to go. There is also a tint on the glass that I ended up appreciating during actual use. In the afternoon when the sun is low, I have played on clear backboards where the glare makes the rim harder to read. Here, I still get sunlight like anything outdoors, but the backboard does not turn into a bright mirror. It is a small thing, but it helps when you are shooting for more than a few minutes. The rim feels like what you would expect at an indoor court, and it is the breakaway style, so it flexes when there is extra force. I am not out there doing windmill dunks or anything like that, but I have had friends and family grab the rim, and I have seen it flex and return without the backboard feeling like it is taking the stress. It just feels safer than a rigid rim bolted to something lighter. The part that most people ask about is setup, and I am going to be straight about it. This is heavy. When the box showed up, I immediately knew I was not moving it by myself. It is the kind of delivery where you want a second person around just to get everything staged where you are building it. Once I opened it, the parts were clearly labeled, and the instructions were understandable. The actual assembly was not confusing, but physically, it takes effort. Putting the pole together and mounting the backboard is where you feel the weight. Lining things up while you are holding a big piece of glass is not something I would recommend doing alone. I had help for the lifting parts, and that made the process feel controlled instead of stressful. If you have 2 or 3 people available when it is time to stand the system up and tighten everything down, it goes a lot smoother. This is an in-ground system with an anchor setup, which means you are committing to a spot. I poured a concrete pad because I wanted it solid, and I used 13 bags of quick-setting concrete. That was not the fun part, but it is what makes the hoop feel stable later. You need to take your time planning the location, because once that concrete is set, moving the anchor is a headache. One thing I do like about the anchor design is that if you ever move houses, it is not necessarily stuck there forever. You can unbolt the hoop from the anchor and take the main structure with you. You are still leaving the concrete behind, but you are not throwing the whole hoop away. After it was installed, the daily experience has been simple. The height adjustment is a crank system on the pole, and it moves smoothly. I can change it without tools, and it does not feel like it is grinding or slipping. I have dropped it to around 7.5 feet for younger kids, then brought it back up to 10 feet for adult runs. In real life, that adjustability gets used a lot more than I thought it would, especially when different people are sharing the same hoop. Stability is the main reason I am happy with it. When I shoot, the backboard does not shake much. On lighter hoops, even a normal jumper can make the whole thing rattle, and it changes the feel. Here, it stays planted. When someone drives in hard and goes up at the rim flexes like it should, but the pole and base do not feel like they are shifting. There are pads on the pole and around the lower area near the backboard. It is not something I think about when I am shooting alone, but it matters with kids. I have seen a kid take an awkward step under the hoop and bump into the pole, and I was glad that padding was there. It is basic, but it reduces the chance of getting banged up. I also want to talk about size in a practical way. The backboard is 54 inches wide. For a home setup, that feels like a good middle ground. It is big enough that it feels like real basketball, but it is not so wide that it takes over the whole driveway. If you are working with a tight space, you still need to measure and make sure you have room to play safely. especially behind the hoop and to the sides. Weather has not been a problem so far. The pole has a powder-coated finish, and after rain and a couple of rough storms, I am not seeing rust. I do wipe the backboard down once in a while just because outdoor glass collects dust and pollen. I also make it a habit to check bolts every so often, not because something feels loose, but because outdoor equipment lives through temperature changes, wind, and constant vibration from play. It is just basic maintenance. A couple small complaints from real use. The install is work. There is no way around it. If you do not like digging, mixing concrete, and lining up hardware, you may want to pay someone to do the install or choose a portable hoop instead. Also, once it is in the ground, it is in the ground. Yes, you can unbolt it from the anchor, but you are not casually moving it around the yard. Another thing is that the finish options are limited, so if you care about matching a very specific look, you do not have many choices. On-court feel is the part that keeps me using it. The glass gives me predictable rebound, the rim behaves normally, and the whole thing stays steady enough that I can focus on shooting instead of fighting the equipment. It fits family use too, because I can set the height for different ages and skill levels without it turning into a project. Overall, I think this hoop makes sense for someone who wants a stable, permanent practice setup at home and is willing to do a real installation to get that stability. It is not a casual, move it whenever you want type of hoop. But if you are okay with anchoring it and putting in the effort up front, day to day it is straightforward and it holds up to regular play. You can view detailed information about the Silverback SB54 adjustable in-ground basketball hoop in the comments section. Thank you for watching.